belong here. Get out now. Leave the property.
They stopped him at the gate in front of everyone. No one knew who he was. No one thought to ask. And for the next 2 hours, everything went exactly as planned. But some truths don't wait for permission to arrive. The wedding was perfect. 200 guests. String quartet playing Vivaldi. White roses everywhere. Champagne glasses catching the afternoon sun. Everything was exactly as planned. Until he arrived. A man in a worn jacket. No gift. No invitation. No place on the guest list. Security stopped him at the entrance. The bride's mother saw him from across the lawn, and her face went pale, because the man standing at the gate wasn't a stranger. He was the father the bride had been told didn't want her, the father who'd supposedly abandoned them without looking back, the father who, according to every story she'd ever been told, chose his own life over being her dad. But as the bride would discover in the next 30 minutes, not every story you're told is the whole truth. And sometimes the person you are taught to forget is the one who never stopped remembering you. The Sterling Estate. Saturday afternoon, 3:47 p.m. The ceremony was scheduled for 4 o'clock. Guests were already seated. White chairs arranged in perfect rows facing a flower-covered arch. The aisle lined with rose petals. A string quartet warming up near the garden fountain. Everything was elegant, expensive, flawless. Melissa Grant was getting married, 28 years old, beautiful in a way that photographs couldn't quite capture, smart, MBA from Stanford, successful marketing director at a tech firm, and today she was marrying David Chun. Good man, kind, stable, everything her mother had always said she deserved. Her mother, Catherine Grant, had planned every detail of this wedding for 18 months. Every flower, every seating arrangement, every moment choreographed to perfection. Because perfection was how Catherine survived. Control was how she protected her daughter from the chaos that had once torn their lives apart. At 3:47 p.m., a silver Honda Civic pulled into the estate parking area. The car was old. 15 years, maybe. Dent in the rear bumper. Paint faded on the hood. It stood out among the Mercedes and Teslas and BMWs. The driver sat for a moment before getting out. His name was Thomas Grant, 52 years old, wearing the best clothes he owned. A navy blazer that didn't quite fit anymore, khaki pants pressed but showing age, a white shirt he'd ironed carefully that morning. No tie. He'd never learned to tie one properly. He carried nothing. No gift. No flowers. No phone in his hand. He just stood there for a moment, looking at the estate, at the elegant crowd, at the world his daughter inhabited. A world he'd never been part of. He took a breath and walked toward the entrance. 2 security guards stood at the gate. Young men in dark suits with earpieces. Professional. Alert. Thomas approached. One of them stepped forward. Polite but firm. "Good afternoon, sir. May I see your invitation?" Thomas stopped, kept his hands visible, voice calm. "I don't have one. This is a private event, sir. Guest list only." "I understand. I'm here for the bride." The guards exchanged glances. "Your name, sir?" "Thomas Grant." One guard pulled out a tablet, scrolled through names, scrolled again. "I'm not seeing you on the list." "I know. Are you family?" Thomas hesitated. "Yes." "What's your relation to the bride?" "I'm her father." The guard's expression shifted slightly. Confusion. He glanced at the seating chart on his tablet. "Sir, the bride's father is listed as deceased." Thomas's jaw tightened. "I'm not dead." "I understand, but I'm her biological father. I'm not here to cause trouble. I just want to see her get married." The second guard spoke into his radio. "We have a situation at the main gate. Guests claiming to be family. Not on the list." Static. Then a woman's voice. "Description?" "Male, 50s, says he's a bride's father." Pause. "Hold him there. Do not let him through." Across the lawn, near the bridal suite, Catherine Grant heard the radio chatter. She was adjusting Melissa's veil. Smiling. talking about how beautiful everything looked. And then she heard it, guests claiming to be the bride's father. Her hands froze. Melissa noticed. "Mom, you okay?" Catherine's smile didn't waver, but something in her eyes changed. "I'm fine, sweetheart. Just need to check on something with the coordinator. I'll be right back." She kissed Melissa's cheek and left the suite. The moment she was outside, her composure cracked. She walked quickly across the lawn, heels sinking slightly into the grass. Jaw set, hands clenched, she reached the wedding planner, a woman named Andrea who'd been managing every detail for months. Catherine's voice was low, controlled, but urgent. "There's a man at the gate. Do not let him in." Andrea looked confused. One of the guards mentioned. "I don't care what he said. He's not on the guest list. He has no relationship with the bride. He brings emotional risk to a day that's already fragile." "Is he dangerous?" Catherine chose her words carefully. "He's disruptive. This day needs to go smoothly. Melissa deserves that. He can't be here." Andrea nodded, spoke into her radio. "Security. The individual at the gate is not authorized. Please escort him off the property." Catherine didn't wait to hear the response. She walked toward the gate herself, because she needed to see him with her own eyes, needed to make sure he understood, needed to make sure he left. Thomas stood at the gate, waiting patiently while the guards received their instructions. Then he saw her. Catherine. It had been 9 years since they'd been in the same place. She looked older, more polished, hair styled perfectly, makeup flawless, designer dress. She'd built a good life. He was glad for that. She approached the gate. The guard stepped back slightly, recognizing authority. Catherine and Thomas stood on opposite sides of the iron bars. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Catherine's voice, low and steady. "You shouldn't have come." Thomas's response was just as quiet. "I know." "Then why are you here?" "Because she's my daughter." "You lost the right to call her that." "That's not true." Catherine's eyes flashed. "You left. You pushed me out. You gave up. You made it impossible." Silence. One of the guards shifted uncomfortably. Thomas took a breath. "I'm not here to fight. I'm not here to disrupt anything. His voice cracked slightly. "I just wanted to see her walk down the aisle." Catherine stared at him. "You can't." "I'll stay outside. I won't go in. I won't talk to her. I won't cause a scene. I just want to see her. Just for a moment." "No, Catherine, you don't get to do this. Not today. She's happy. She's stable. She doesn't need you walking back in after all these years, and I never walked away." "Yes, you did. You changed your number. You moved without telling me. You returned every letter I sent." Catherine's face hardened. "Because you weren't good for her. That's not your decision to make." "I'm her mother. It was exactly my decision." Thomas looked at her for a long moment. "I fought for her. You know I did. I went to court. Twice. I paid lawyers I couldn't afford. I called every week until you blocked my number. I sent letters until they stopped being answered. You didn't fight hard enough. I didn't fight you. There's a difference." Catherine's composure wavered for just a second. "She doesn't know you. She doesn't need to know you. You're a stranger to her." "I know, and that's my biggest regret." "Then live with it. Somewhere else." Thomas stepped back from the gate. "I'll stay out here. But I'm not leaving." Catherine turned to the guards. "If he tries to enter, call the police." She walked back toward the bridal suite. Her hands were shaking. Melissa was looking at herself in the mirror when her mother returned. "Everything okay?" Catherine smiled. That practiced smile that hid everything. "Everything's perfect, sweetheart." But Melissa knew her mother's face, knew when something was wrong. "Mom, what happened?" "Nothing. Just a small issue with parking. Handled." Melissa studied her. "You look upset." "I'm not upset. I'm emotional. It's your wedding day." Catherine touched Melissa's cheek. "You look so beautiful." Melissa wanted to push, but it was 3:55. The ceremony was starting in 5 minutes. She let it go. For now. The string quartet began playing. The processional was starting. Guests stood. Catherine walked down the aisle first, escorted by Melissa's uncle, her brother, who'd stepped into the father role years ago. Then the bridesmaids. Then the moment. Melissa stood at the entrance to the aisle. Her uncle offered his arm. She took it, but as they began to walk, Melissa's mind was elsewhere. Something about her mother's face. The way she'd looked when she came back from handling parking. That wasn't stress about parking. That was something else. The ceremony was beautiful. David's vows made people cry. Melissa's vows made people laugh and cry. The rings were exchanged. The kiss happened. Applause erupted. Mr. and Mrs. Chin walked back down the aisle together. Perfect. But during the cocktail hour, while guests mingled and toasted, Melissa found herself distracted. She pulled her mother aside. Mom, earlier, what really happened? Catherine's smile didn't slip. I told you, sweetheart. Just parking. Mom. Catherine sighed. It's nothing you need to worry about today. If it's nothing, then tell me. Catherine looked around, making sure no one was listening. There was someone at the gate. Someone who wasn't invited. Who? Catherine hesitated. A man. He claimed. He said he wanted to see you. Who was he? It doesn't matter. Security handled it. But Melissa's mind was racing, because she'd heard something. A fragment of conversation earlier. Her mother talking to someone near the bridal suite. A sentence Melissa hadn't fully registered until now. After everything you put us through, you should have stayed gone. Melissa's stomach tightened. Mom, who was at the gate? Catherine's face showed something Melissa had rarely seen. Fear. Someone from the past. Someone who doesn't belong here. Who? Melissa, please. Not today. Mom, who is it? Catherine's voice dropped to almost a whisper. Your father? The word landed like a stone. Melissa stared at her mother. My father is dead. Your biological father. Thomas. Melissa felt the ground shift. What? He showed up. I had security turn him away. He's gone now. He's alive? Yes. You told me he died when I was 9. Catherine's expression was pained. I told you he was gone. You assumed. You let me assume. For 19 years. Because he was gone. Functionally. He wasn't in your life. Saying he was dead was... It was easier than explaining. Explaining what? Catherine looked at her daughter. At the wedding dress. At the day she'd worked so hard to make perfect. Can we please do this later? No. Melissa's voice was firm. Tell me now. What exactly did he do? Catherine took a breath. He wasn't there. When you needed him, he wasn't there. What does that mean? It means he chose his life over us. Over you. How? He left Melissa. During the divorce. He just left. People get divorced. That doesn't mean. He didn't fight for you. Did you let him? Catherine's face hardened. That's not fair. Answer the question. I did what was best for you. That's not an answer. They stared at each other. For the first time in Melissa's life, she questioned the story she'd always been told. The story of the father who didn't want her. The father who walked away without looking back. The father who chose everything else over being her dad. Where is he now? Melissa asked. I don't know. He left. Did you make him leave? I asked security to. Did you make him leave? Catherine didn't answer. Melissa turned and walked away. She found her Aunt Rebecca, her mother's older sister, standing near the bar. Rebecca had always been different from Catherine. Softer, less controlled, more willing to say things that made people uncomfortable. Aunt Becca, can I talk to you? Rebecca looked at Melissa's face and knew immediately something was wrong. Of course, sweetheart. What's going on? They walked to a quiet corner of the garden. Melissa's voice was tight. Did you know my father was alive? Rebecca went very still. What? Thomas, my biological father. Did you know he was alive? Rebecca looked down. Yes. Melissa felt something crack inside her chest. How long have you known? Always. And you never told me? It wasn't my place. He was at the gate today, my wedding day, and my mother had him thrown out. Rebecca closed her eyes. Oh, Catherine, why would she do that? Rebecca was quiet for a moment. Then she said something that changed everything. Because she was afraid. Of what? That you'd choose him over her. Melissa stared at her aunt. What? Rebecca sat down on a nearby bench. Melissa sat beside her. Your father didn't just leave. Melissa, your mother pushed him out. What do you mean? After the divorce, he tried to stay in your life. He fought for custody. He called every week. He sent letters. He showed up at school events. I don't remember any of that. Because your mother made sure you wouldn't. How? Rebecca's voice was pained. She changed your phone number. She moved without telling him where. She returned his letters unopened. She told the school not to allow him on campus. She convinced the court he was unstable. He wasn't, but she made it sound like he was. Melissa's hands were shaking. Why would she do that? Because she was hurt and scared, and she thought cutting him out completely was cleaner than letting you grow up between two homes. She thought she was protecting you from confusion, from pain. She was protecting herself. Rebecca didn't disagree. Did he stop trying? Melissa asked. No, he tried for years. But eventually, there was nothing left to try. He couldn't reach you, couldn't see you, couldn't even send you a birthday card without it being returned. So he gave up. No, he stepped back. There's a difference. Melissa stood up. I need to see him. Melissa, where is he? I don't know. Your mother had security. Then I'll find him. Melissa turned and walked toward the main gate, her wedding dress dragging slightly on the grass, her mind racing, her heart pounding. At the gate, she found one of the security guards, the man who was here earlier, the one claiming to be my father. Where did he go? The guard looked uncomfortable. Ma'am, I'm not sure I should. Where did he go? He didn't leave, ma'am. He's in the parking lot, just sitting in his car. Melissa walked through the gate, across the estate grounds, into the parking area. She saw him immediately, an older silver Honda, dented bumper, a man sitting in the driver's seat, head bowed. She walked toward the car, her heels clicking on asphalt. He must have heard her because he looked up, and when their eyes met, Thomas froze, because walking toward him in a wedding dress was his daughter, the daughter he hadn't seen in 9 years, the daughter he'd been told wanted nothing to do with him, the daughter he'd never stopped thinking about. Melissa reached the car. He rolled down the window. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then Melissa asked the only question that mattered. Why didn't you fight harder? Thomas's voice was hoarse. I fought every way I knew how. Then why did you stop? I didn't stop. I just stopped fighting her. What's the difference? I could have dragged it through courts for years, made your childhood a battlefield, made you choose sides, made you hate one of us. So you chose to disappear? I chose to let you have peace, even if it meant losing you. Melissa's eyes filled with tears. I thought you didn't want me. Thomas's face crumpled. I wanted you more than anything in my life. Then why did you let her tell me you were dead? She told you I was dead? She said you were gone. I assumed. For 19 years I assumed. Thomas opened the car door, stepped out. They stood facing each other. I sent letters, he said quietly. Every birthday, every Christmas, every time I thought maybe this time they'd reach you. I never got them. I know. I thought you forgot about me. I never forgot about you. Not for one day. Melissa's voice broke. I needed you. I know. When I graduated high school, when I got into Stanford, when I got my first job, when I got engaged, I needed you and I thought you just didn't care. Thomas's tears finally came. I cared. I cared so much it broke me. Behind them, near the gate, Catherine appeared. She'd been looking for Melissa, and now she saw her, standing in the parking lot, with Thomas. Catherine walked forward slowly. When she reached them, she stopped. Melissa turned to her mother. You lied to me. I protected you. You isolated me from my father for 19 years, and you call that protection? I did what I thought was right. You did what was easiest for you. Catherine's composure finally broke. He left us. Melissa, he chose. He didn't leave. You pushed him out. I was trying to give you stability. You were trying to punish him, and you used me to do it. Catherine's face showed something Melissa had never seen before. Shame. I was hurt, Catherine whispered, and angry, and I didn't know how to separate that from what was best for you. So you took him away from me. I thought I was doing the right thing. You weren't. Silence. Catherine looked at Thomas. I'm sorry. It was the first time she'd said those words to him in 20 years. Thomas nodded. He didn't smile, didn't forgive, just acknowledged. Melissa looked at her father. Will you walk with me? Where? Back to the reception. I want people to meet you. Thomas's eyes widened. Melissa, you don't have to. I want to. She held out her arm. Thomas looked at Catherine. Catherine looked at her daughter. And then, for the first time in 19 years, she let go. Okay. Thomas took Melissa's arm, and they walked. Not down the aisle. That moment had passed. But across the lawn. Past the guests who whispered and stared. Past the family members who didn't understand what was happening. Toward the reception tent. Toward the future. David met them at the entrance. Confused. Concerned. Melissa smiled at him. David, this is my father. Thomas. David looked at Melissa. At Thomas. At Catherine standing behind them. He didn't understand everything that was happening. But he understood that his wife needed this. So he extended his hand. It's good to meet you, sir. Thomas shook it. Thank you. And congratulations. Inside the reception, Melissa introduced Thomas to people. Some had known him years ago and were shocked to see him. Others had never heard of him and were confused. But Melissa didn't care. For the first time in her life, she was standing next to her father, and she wasn't letting that go. Later that night, as the reception wound down, Melissa and Thomas sat together at a quiet table. I have so many questions, she said. I have so many answers. Where have you been? About 40 minutes from here, for the last 8 years. That close. I couldn't leave. I kept thinking maybe someday. Why today? Why come today? Thomas smiled sadly. Because I couldn't miss it. Even if you never knew I was there. Even if I only saw you for 30 seconds from a parking lot. I needed to see you get married. Melissa reached across the table. Took his hand. I'm glad you came. Thomas's eyes filled with tears again. Me too. Across the tent, Catherine watched them. Rebecca sat beside her. You did the right thing, Rebecca said quietly. Catherine didn't respond, because she wasn't sure if letting go today made up for holding on for 19 years. But watching her daughter smile at her father, she knew it was a start. The wedding continued. The dancing, the toasts, the cake, everything went as planned. Except now there was someone there who wasn't supposed to be. Someone who'd been erased from the story. Someone who'd never stopped being part of it. And as the night ended, as guests said goodbye and cars pulled away, Melissa hugged her father. Will I see you again? If you want to. I want to. Thomas smiled. Then yes. He got in his car, the old silver Honda with the dented bumper, and drove away. But this time, he wasn't leaving. He was just going home, knowing that tomorrow his daughter might call. And for the first time in 19 years, she had his number. Sometimes the person you were taught to forget is the one who never stopped remembering you. Sometimes the story you're told isn't the whole truth. Sometimes the parent who seems absent was just kept away. And sometimes the best moment at a wedding isn't the kiss or the vows. It's the moment a daughter takes her father's arm and walks with him, not down the aisle, but toward tomorrow. If this story hit you in the chest, do me a favor, hit that like button right now. It helps more people find stories like this. And if you're new here, subscribe and turn on notifications. We share real, emotional stories about family, truth, and the moments that change everything. Drop a comment below. Where are you watching from? And have you ever discovered that a story you were told your whole life wasn't completely true? I want to hear about it. I read every single comment. Until next time, remember this: the people we're taught to forget sometimes never stop remembering us. The stories we're told aren't always the whole truth. And sometimes, healing doesn't come from perfect moments. It comes from honest ones. Thanks for being here. I'll see you in the next story. End.